Perfect. So this is going to be a relaxation focused mindfulness with a lot of gentle stretches, gentle movement for yoga. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do my new favorite one, which is the finger breathing. So what's going to happen is we inhale, we're going to slide our thumb up one finger and then flick for the exhale, like you're letting something go. Okay, so this is where maybe you're trying to get rid of some stress. Just imagine that stress is just flung away. Then you move to the next finger, slide slowly for your inhale, and then when you exhale, you flick it away, okay? Let's do 10 of those, or sorry, 8 of those, because you don't count your thumbs. One hand to the other, okay? Go ahead and just find a nice comfortable seat. And just notice what's going on in your body right now. What physical sensations are happening? I'm gonna actually full screen myself. Okay, perfect. So, go ahead and let all the air out. We're gonna start with an inhale, slowly inhaling, bringing that finger up one side. Exhale, flick it away. Move on to the middle finger, breathing in. Slowly the thumb traces up the finger and then exhale, fling it away. Next finger, your ring finger, slide the thumb up for your inhale. Retain it for a moment, flick it away. Sliding the thumb up the pinky for an inhale, flick it away. Beautiful. Swapping hands, inhale up the pointer finger. Exhale, flick it away. Inhale up the middle finger, flick it away. If you're hearing yourself breathe out loud, breathing in and out, that's a good thing. And flick it away. Perfect. Again, we're going to focus on some relaxation poses. So I'm actually going to set myself up to be reclined. So this first pose is a reclined bound ankle. So you're going to put the palms of your feet, the bottom of your feet together. Your knees are going to fall away from each other. And you're going to lay back. And you can have your hands to the side or hands on the belly, whatever feels good to you. Now, this is where your props can come in. If this doesn't feel great, first suggestion, put a blanket under your low back or a blanket under your knees. You could also make it to where you're sitting kind of upright. You could use books for this. I know I didn't tell you to bring books, so don't feel like you've got to go run and get them, but just showing you an option for yourself. If you ever want to try this on your own, you can take some books. I have yoga blocks, that's what these are. And they might fall on me right here. This one is. We'll just use the other one, this one. And you can recline and have your hands back like that. Another one. Or you could just simply use the pillow like a regular pillow. So go ahead and find whatever works for you. We're going to stay here for a minute. Hands either to the side or on the belly, one hand on the heart. Reclined bound ankle. Feel free to adjust your feet. The further out might feel a little less stressful or a little less stretchy. Just find the area that works for you. I'm going to put some blocks under my knees. If you can't put the bottom of your feet together, you can put a blanket under your knees and just rest your legs out. This kind of yoga is restorative, is what it's called. It uses a lot of props, but also it's very customizable. So whatever your body needs, however your body wants to be propped up or not, is totally okay. We're going to stay here for a few breaths. And just feel the surface of the ground pushing back up on your body. Feel the support. When we start to feel stressed and overwhelmed, it helps to ground ourselves. And we do that by helping making ourselves feel like we're connected to the ground, by bringing ourselves with our senses back into this reality instead of up in our head. So we are grounding ourselves now. When you're ready, you can go ahead and extend your feet out. You can put something under your knees if you want. I'm going to lay reclined like this for a minute. What we're doing here is we are integrating our nervous systems. When your nervous system is disintegrated, not like it disintegrates, like it goes away, but like when it's not integrated, you can feel all sorts of yucky feelings. You can feel anxious or sleepy or hyper or sad or numb. What we're doing by doing these poses and by breathing nice and slow is we're taking our nervous system and starting to bring it back to a more neutral level, a more calm level. That's what it means to be integrated. Notice where your mind goes. And if your mind starts to wander, gently invite it back to your breath and put your awareness there. Awesome. Come all the way down to a flat back. Hug your knees into your chest. It's going to be a very safe feeling pose, this fetal position. There's a reason why babies like to be like this. It's a very vulnerable, it's a protective position. What we're going to do is we're going to take one leg and kind of bring it towards the ground. This other one is just going to come over to this side here. So this is my right leg. I'm dropping my right leg to the side. My left leg is kind of going with it to where my right foot is touching my left knee. So just for one more time, so I can explain that a little better. Bring your left foot to the ground. Your right knee stays where it is, and just drop your knees to the side. Stretch your arms out to either side of your body. And if it's available to you, you can look over that left hand. This is a gentle spinal twist, and it is another really great way of integrating your nervous system. If you need to, you can scoot your hips over a little bit so that you can have more space to drop the knees down. It's okay to make adjustments as you go. And if you're feeling yourself holding on to the pose or gripping, I just noticed that with myself, make an adjustment to where you don't have to feel like you're holding something in tension. Even if that means you've got to adjust the pose a little bit, that's okay. Slow, even breaths here. Bring the arms back, place the feet on the ground, bring the hips back to neutral, Draw the knees in towards the chest. Maybe rock a little bit here. Give your back a little massage. Same thing, other side. Place your right foot down towards the ground. Left foot stays the same. Go ahead and scooch your hips 2 inches to the right, thereabouts, and let your knees drop to the side. Arms out, extended alongside your body. You can do cactus arms too if that feels better. In whatever direction your knees are pointing, if it's available to you, turn your head the opposite direction, looking away from the knees. Stay here for 4 more breaths. When you're ready, placing your feet back on the ground, scooching the hips back to a neutral position, hugging the knees. Maybe doing some in and out knee breath pushes and pulls. Breathing in, you draw your knees towards your chest. Breathing out, pushing them away. Do a few cycles of that on your own. When you're ready, you can start to rock up and down on your back. Do a couple of these, and then bring yourself up to a seated position. Doing this so I can check the time. I can stay here forever, so to help myself out. Awesome. From this position, we're going to take our legs and extend them out to either side from a seated position. So we're going to do a wide-legged forward fold, seated forward fold. The ideal would be to hook your fingers on your toes and bend forward. I cannot do that. I can tell you that there are some areas of your body you're going to find are more flexible than others. For me, I have a pretty flexible shoulder situation, but my legs are very inflexible, especially in splits or bringing the legs away from one another. So I have a lot of issue with these. And so if you can't extend your legs out very far, don't feel bad. You can always put a little tiny bend in your knees as well. So why don't we work up to it? Let's start by bringing our chest up, turning it to be facing over this leg. Swing the hands up and bend from the hip. Don't bend from the back. Bend from the hip forward. And just wherever your hands land, that's okay. It can be on either side. Notice your breath here. If you're holding your breath at any point, continue to let your breath cycle in and out. On your next breath, if it's available to you, see if you can extend and deepen the stretch. Always listening to the body. We never go beyond what a good stretch feels like. A bad stretch is pain, it's burning, it feels tearing, it feels pinching. We don't ever do that. We always just lean into a healthy, good stretch. Our bodies will communicate to us when we are reaching our point of no return. When you're ready, slowly walk the hands back, straighten yourself up. Same thing on the other side. We're going to turn ourselves when we're facing this leg, sweeping the hands up and folding. Wherever the hands land, that's okay. Your hands are up here, that's fine. Let's just hang out here for a second. Maybe just stare at your pants. Notice the color, the creases, the texture. Just appreciate your pants for a second. And that sounds weird to appreciate your pants, but I think it helps. See if you can deepen the stretch at all on your next inhale. Remember, you can put a micro bend in the knee if you need to. Walking the hands back up. The next thing we can do is we're going to walk our hands forward, just lay ourselves here. Here's also where a pillow can help. You're welcome to grab your pillow if it's big enough, hug it, and just lean into the pose. You don't have to do that, especially if you don't have a pillow handy. Just walk the hands forward. And hold. Keep the head loose, the neck loose. Don't hold any tension in your neck. All of the effort should come from the legs and the back. Stay here for 2 more breaths. And slowly walk the hands up to where you're seated, upright. Fabulous. Stay where you are. I'm checking the time. Awesome. Next thing we're going to do is a little child's pose, actually embryo pose. So you're going to keep coming to a tabletop position. You're going to keep your knees pretty wide apart, toes together. Sit your hips back onto the heels if you can. Lower yourself down, forehead to the floor. And then if you can, bring your hands back to grabbing your heels. This is embryo pose. We're going to stay here for just a second. Extending the arms forward for child's pose. Reaching the fingertips. Settling into the pose. Walking yourself back up to a seated position. Swinging the legs around. Last pose before our final resting pose. Come back down to your back. Feet firmly planted on the ground. Shift your shoulders to where your shoulder blades are under your shoulders. So you're like walking your shoulders underneath yourself. Lift your hips, grab your hands, and push the hands away from the shoulders. Engage the abs, that will help. Kind of a modified bridge pose. Again, use the abs to help lift, pushing the hands away from the head. You should be resting your weight on your shoulders. That will help. And you can use your feet to kind of lift as well. If it helps, you can also put a pillow underneath your hips to help support you if you would rather not have to suspend the pose. Go ahead and release your hands, slowly lowering your back to the ground, 1 vertebrae at a time. Excellent. It's time for final resting pose. This is where you can get creative. You can have a blanket under the knees, under the back. You can even just take the blanket and cover yourself up. You can use a pillow in either of those places. You're going to bring your feet out and forward. Let me also say, if this pose feels too much, like you're too exposed, you're welcome to take a child's pose or a seated pose as well. There's no need to try to be in this particular pose that makes you uncomfortable. But if this pose is something that makes you feel relaxed and comfortable, I invite you to find what's working for you today. And let me ask, I always ask this question, but what would make you 5% more comfortable right now? Is it adding a pillow underneath the head or adding a blanket on top? If there is an adjustment to make, go ahead and make that adjustment. I'm also going to put a blanket under my knees. We're taking care of ourselves today. We need it. Feet falling away from each other. Feeling the weight like a sandbag. The gentle pressure supporting you, and you equally sinking into it. About 1 more minute here in this position. Go ahead and start bringing your awareness back to this space. Gentle movements. If your eyes were closed, you can feel free to open them when ready. And when it feels right, you can slowly and gently roll yourself up to a seated position. Meet me there. I know sometimes you can feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. It can feel like there's just not any more space in our brain or in our heart for anything else to go wrong. And I wish I could tell you that there's a quick fix, that I could make it magically go away. But I would make myself wrong if I did that. But what I can tell you is that, how's it go? Pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. We're going to have pain in life. There's going to be things that go wrong. There's going to be things that stress us out. There's going to be stuff that's not okay. Choosing to dwell in it, choosing to let it get the best of us, choosing to wallow in it, to let it defeat you, that is a choice. Through things like mindfulness, we can begin to choose not to suffer. We will encounter pain. We will encounter stress. We will encounter things going wrong. We can choose to let that hold us back, or we can choose to move forward. And so I hope today you took some time to integrate your nervous system and allow yourself to move forward one breath at a time. Thank you so much for meditating with me.